Vancouver housing crisis. Aging towers become dangerous overnight. Vancouver's housing market, once known for its bustling high-rises and booming real estate industry, is now facing an unprecedented crisis. In recent months, Vancouver has witnessed a shocking revelation that is sending ripples through the city. The aging condo towers, iconic symbols of the city's skyline, have become dangerous overnight. Built in the 70s and 80s, these towering structures, which were once the pride of the city, are now considered unsafe for habitation. The very homes where thousands of Vancouver residents live are now under immediate threat of collapse, and the city is struggling to contain the damage. The situation in Vancouver is nothing short of a disaster. Thousands of residents are being forced to face the terrifying reality that their homes may not be as safe as they once thought. These buildings, once viewed as premium properties, are now structurally compromised and at risk of catastrophic failure. Reports are flooding in from engineering experts, who are confirming that many of these aging towers have experienced severe deterioration over the years. The concrete is crumbling, steel reinforcements are rusting, and some of the buildings have even developed cracks in their foundations. This damage, accumulated over decades, is now becoming a serious threat to the safety of the residents. The immediate consequences of this realization are chilling. Hundreds of residents have already been evacuated from these towers as a precautionary measure, and many more are facing the terrifying possibility of being forced to leave their homes at a moment's notice. The very structures that were once meant to provide safety and security are now creating an environment of fear and uncertainty. The financial implications are devastating as well. Homeowners who have invested their life savings into these properties are now seeing the value of their homes plummet. In some cases, they are unable to sell their properties due to the growing concerns over their structural integrity. For many, this crisis is not just about losing their homes, but also about the financial ruin that follows. Experts estimate that over 30,000 residents across Vancouver live in towers that are now considered unsafe. The number continues to grow as more inspections are conducted and more buildings are found to be at risk. The city's housing market, already strained by rising prices and limited inventory, is now facing a new and even more significant challenge. As the news spreads, the already fragile market is beginning to crumble. The impact is being felt across the city, with more and more buyers pulling out of deals, uncertain about the safety of the properties they were once eager to invest in. The banks, too, are beginning to pull back, unwilling to finance mortgages for properties that may not be safe to live in. This crisis is also creating chaos in the construction industry. Developers, once eager to build the next high-rise in Vancouver's ever-expanding skyline, are now facing an uncertain future. Many construction projects have been put on hold, and some developers are facing bankruptcy as they struggle to navigate the financial fallout from this crisis. The once vibrant construction industry in Vancouver is now in freefall, with thousands of workers facing layoffs and an uncertain future. The government's failure to address the issue head-on has only compounded the problem. As the crisis continues to unfold, many are beginning to wonder if Vancouver will ever recover from the damage caused by these aging buildings. The situation is made worse by the fact that many of these buildings were constructed under outdated building codes and regulations. In the 70s and 80s, the city's construction standards were far less stringent than they are today, and as a result, these buildings were not built to withstand the wear and tear they have experienced over the decades. The lack of foresight and proper planning has left Vancouver with a growing problem that could take years, if not decades, to fix. The city is now facing a crisis that could cost billions of dollars to resolve, and the burden will likely fall on taxpayers to foot the bill. As the city grapples with the fallout from this crisis, there is a growing sense of anger and frustration among Vancouver's residents. Many are angry that their government failed to take action earlier, allowing these buildings to fall into disrepair without proper oversight or intervention. The lack of transparency and accountability from both developers and politicians has only added fuel to the fire. People feel betrayed by the system that they trusted to protect them and their investments. In some cases, homeowners are now looking to take legal action against the developers and city officials who they believe are responsible for the situation. But for many, it may already be too late. The human cost of this crisis is impossible to ignore. Beyond the financial losses and the immediate danger of collapse, there is also the emotional toll on those who are affected. Imagine living in a building for years, only to discover that it is no longer safe to inhabit. Imagine being forced to leave your home and your community, not knowing where you will go next. For many, this crisis is not just about losing a building. It's about losing a sense of security, stability, and home. The emotional and psychological strain of living in constant fear of a collapse is something that many residents are struggling to cope with. The trauma of this crisis will likely leave lasting scars on the people who have been affected. For those living in Vancouver's aging towers, the future is uncertain. Many are desperately trying to find solutions, but there are no easy answers. The city's housing market is already in turmoil, and now the very foundations of Vancouver's housing stock are crumbling beneath its residents. What was once a thriving and prosperous city is now facing a crisis of epic proportions. The long-term effects of this crisis are difficult to predict, but one thing is certain: Vancouver's housing market will never be the same again. The damage that has been done to these buildings is irreversible, and it will take years, if not decades, for the city to recover. In the meantime, residents are left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives. As the crisis unfolds, there are growing calls for accountability. The government is under increasing pressure to take action, but many believe that it is too little, too late. The damage has already been done, and the cost of repairing Vancouver's aging towers is staggering. Some are calling for a complete overhaul of the city's building codes and regulations, while others are pushing for a comprehensive plan to address the crisis head-on. But whatever the solution may be, it is clear that Vancouver's housing market is in the midst of a historic collapse. And for the residents caught in the middle of this disaster, the future looks uncertain at best. This crisis is just the beginning. The aging infrastructure in Vancouver is not unique to the city. Across Canada, many other cities are beginning to see similar issues with their aging buildings. Vancouver may be the first to face this crisis, but it won't be the last. The damage caused by these aging towers is a stark reminder of the importance of proper planning and oversight in the construction industry. If we don't take action now, other cities may soon be facing the same fate. For Vancouver, the road to recovery will be long and difficult, but it is not impossible. What remains to be seen is whether the city's leaders will take the necessary steps to prevent this from happening again in the future. As the Vancouver housing crisis continues to unfold, the full magnitude of what is happening is becoming clearer by the day. While the immediate dangers of these aging towers collapsing remain at the forefront of people's minds, the deeper systemic issues that have allowed this crisis to spiral out of control are now coming to light. The tragic irony is that Vancouver's housing market, once considered one of the most desirable in the world, is now under siege from the very infrastructure that built it. The decades-long neglect of building maintenance, lack of foresight in construction planning, and the failure of local government to address the issue earlier have left the city with a real estate disaster on its hands. The human cost of this crisis extends far beyond financial losses. Thousands of families have been directly impacted by the collapse of property values, forcing many residents to lose their homes and livelihoods. But even more, the psychological toll on those who live in these aging towers is immense. The constant uncertainty, the fear of a building collapse at any moment, has left people living in a state of perpetual anxiety. Homeowners, who once viewed their condos as an investment for the future, now find themselves trapped in a situation where their property is worthless and their safety is in jeopardy. The situation continues to worsen as more buildings are identified as unsafe, further fueling the panic. With each passing day, the number of residents forced to evacuate grows, and the already overcrowded housing market becomes even more strained. As the city's government scrambles to find solutions, residents are left wondering if they will ever see justice for the way they've been betrayed. Some are calling for immediate action, while others have lost faith in the system altogether. This crisis has exposed the deep flaws in Vancouver's housing system, and without drastic change, the city's future remains uncertain. For many residents, the emotional toll of living in a dangerous tower is immeasurable. Imagine waking up every day not knowing if your home will still be standing by the end of the day. The constant fear of a structural collapse is something no one should have to endure. The psychological stress of waiting for an evacuation notice, Living with the knowledge that your home could be condemned at any moment is a burden too great for many to bear. Some have been forced to relocate their families, with no guarantee of finding a safe place to live. For those who remain, the anxiety is crippling. These residents are not only losing their homes, but they are also losing their sense of security and peace of mind. Beyond the immediate danger of collapsing buildings, the long-term effects of this crisis will reverberate throughout Vancouver's real estate market for years to come. The financial repercussions are already being felt, and they are only getting worse. The value of properties in affected towers has plummeted with no clear end in sight. The real estate market, already in decline, is now facing an even more severe crisis as both sellers and buyers are pulling back. For those who have invested their life savings in these properties, the loss is devastating. Many are now left with mortgages they can no longer afford and properties they cannot sell. The ripple effect of this financial instability is being felt across the economy, with many other industries beginning to feel the impact of the housing market collapse. The insurance industry, too, is facing a massive crisis. As more and more buildings are found to be unsafe, insurance companies are pulling out of the market entirely. This has left homeowners in a precarious position with no way to protect their property in the event of a collapse. As insurers refuse to cover high-risk properties, the burden is being placed squarely on the shoulders of Vancouver's residents. Those who are still able to obtain coverage are seeing their premiums skyrocket, making it even harder for homeowners to afford to stay in their homes. For many, the cost of insurance alone is enough to push them out of the market entirely. While the immediate focus is on the safety of residents, the long-term implications of this crisis are becoming clearer with each passing day. The damage done to Vancouver's housing market, both financially and emotionally, will take years to repair. The city's infrastructure will need to be overhauled, with significant investments in upgrading existing buildings and implementing stricter building codes to prevent further disasters. However, these solutions will come at a steep price, and the question remains, who will pay for it? The burden of this crisis is not falling solely on the shoulders of residents. Developers who were once quick to profit from Vancouver's booming real estate market are now facing bankruptcy as they struggle to deal with the aftermath of this disaster. With the value of properties crashing and the cost of repairs soaring, many developers are unable to recover their losses. This has created a ripple effect throughout the construction industry, with thousands of workers facing layoffs and uncertainty about the future of their livelihoods. Vancouver's once thriving construction industry is now in jeopardy, with the future of many projects hanging in the balance. The delay in construction projects, caused by the collapse of these aging towers, will further exacerbate the already severe housing shortage in the city, leaving even fewer options for those seeking to buy or rent. The city's political leaders, too, are under intense scrutiny. Many Vancouver residents feel that they have been let down by their elected officials, who failed to address the growing issue of aging infrastructure before it became a full-blown crisis. The government's response has been slow, and many believe that they are not doing enough to rectify the situation. Some politicians have pointed fingers at developers, blaming them for the state of Vancouver's buildings, while others have called for a complete overhaul of the city's building codes. But for the residents who are living in fear, these political moves are little more than empty promises. They want action, and they want it now. As the crisis continues to unfold, the future of Vancouver's housing market is looking bleaker than ever. With more buildings found to be unsafe and the cost of repairs continuing to rise, the city is facing an uncertain future. The impact on Vancouver's economy, both in the short and long term, is significant. The damage done to the real estate market is only the beginning, and many industries will feel the aftershocks of this crisis for years to come. The government and developers must act swiftly and decisively to address the situation, but whether or not they will is still uncertain. For now, Vancouver's residents can only wait, hoping that their homes will not be the next to fall. But there is hope. This crisis could serve as a wake-up call for Vancouver and other Canadian cities that are facing similar challenges. It is not too late to take action and prevent further disasters from occurring. By investing in building upgrades, implementing stricter regulations, and prioritizing the safety of residents, Vancouver can begin to rebuild and recover. It will take time, but with the right leadership and a collective effort, the city can emerge from this crisis stronger than before. However, the path to recovery will not be easy, and the damage that has been done will take years to repair. As the situation continues to unfold, it's more important than ever to stay informed. If you live in one of Vancouver's aging towers, or if you're concerned about the state of your building, it's critical to take action now. Leave a comment below if you live in one of these buildings and let us know how this crisis is affecting you. Stay tuned for more updates as we continue to track the latest developments in Vancouver's housing crisis. Don't miss out on the critical information you need to protect yourself and your home. So, what's next for Vancouver? Will the city's housing market recover? Or is this the beginning of a larger national crisis? You won't want to miss the shocking revelations we have in store for the next video. Stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you don't miss a single update. If you haven't already, drop a 1 in the comments below and follow the channel to stay updated on this ongoing crisis. This is just the beginning.